And I ain't looking for no ration. I need the whole thing. Skirt. All right. Yes, sir, Ski. All right, so we in this thing. So we about to watch this video here, right? And so for anyone who knows anything about the Nephilim and the fallen angels, that's our topic for that. Let's get it.
The sky above us shimmers with secrets older than civilization itself. Beneath the familiar pages of our sacred texts lies another story, one of celestial beings who once stood at the moon of the Almighty,
And so the fallen angels are exactly that. Angels who descended from heaven, right? And that's why he just said they sat at the very throne of the Almighty himself.
to be cast down for daring to touch the realm of humankind. These are the fallen angels, often dismissed as mere footnotes in Genesis, yet their true saga pulses through forgotten manuscripts, apocryphal visions and whispers in secret orders. Tonight, we step beyond the surface of Sunday sermons and dusty dogma to unveil the hidden chronicle etched in the margins of the Book of Enoch, inscribed on Dead Sea Scroll fragments and encoded in Sumerian myth, long before Moses carved tablets at Sinai.
So I don't know what all this video gets into. I just seen it talking about the fallen angels. And so the fact that he just brought up the Sumerian tablets is interesting as well.
A band of 200 watchers looked down upon an earth teeming, led by the charismatic Shemjazar and the renegade Azazel. They refused to remain detached observers. They descended, aloft on winds that carried starlight, into the cradle of pre-flood humanity, drawn by curiosity, by lust, and by a forbidden yearning to impart divine knowledge. Their pact was sealed on Mount Hermon.
And see, that's what I was always told, that they came down here because they wanted wives. And then they also wanted to give people knowledge.
An oath of union between immortal angels and mortal women. An act that shattered the boundary between heaven and earth. Through this transgression flowed gifts of metallurgy, cosmetics, star lore, even the arcane arts of enchantment, each taught in secret to our early ancestors. Yet, every gift they bestowed came with a curse. Bronze Zazel's hands fueled the first wars among men. The arcane formulas whispered by Semjaza opened the door to sorcery and to souls sold to shadows. The heavens recoiled at this defiance. In the vault of the firmament, archangels petitioned for justice. The Almighty decreed a reckoning of terror. But before the flood's cleansing waters could erase the giant offspring of these unions, the Nephilim in form and ravenous in appetite, the Watchers' fate was sealed. Bound in dark chasms beneath the earth, they awaited a final judgment, while their hybrid children perished, swallowed by the deluge. And yet, their legacy endures. From the ghostly laments of demonology, spirits of vanquished giants roaming our nightmares.
So pretty much what he's saying is giants like Goliath and like giants that have been found, and just like, look it up, giant bones have been found numerous places throughout the world, right?
To the whispered theories of ancient astronauts, the fallen ones persist at the edge of our collective imagination. Some say their bloodline seeps through the veins of secret societies, dynasties, and modern power elite. Others argue that the serpent in Eden long vilified as Satan, was in fact a liberator. An emissary of knowledge whose name was Lucifer, the morning star, the light bringer, condemned for daring to illuminate mankind's path. In the shadows between fact and faith, between myth and conspiracy.
And that's one thing that's actually true, though. The name Satan isn't his name, but he was considered the morning star, and he was supposed to be a bearer of light, which is very interesting given the story that we have from him today with modern religion.
The story of the fallen angels waits to be rediscovered. We will journey from antediluvian mountaintops to hidden Gnostic libraries, from the cataclysmic floodwaters to underground lodges, where ritual masks the truth. We will examine artful carvings, decipher coded manuscripts, and hear from those who dare to challenge the orthodox narrative. Prepare yourself. Everything you knew about angels and about evil will be questioned, re-examined, and reborn. For the true tale of the fallen angels is not merely a chapter in a dusty tome. It is a living current that flows through history, through conspiracy, through the deepest recesses of your own soul. Welcome.
I was not prepared for him to say that part. The recesses of my very soul. I didn't know that I was related.
To the untold chronicle. They came as observers, angelic sentinels stationed at the edge of creation, tasked to watch over the unfolding story of humanity. But in curiosity and desire, the watchers crossed the gulf between heaven and earth. Led by the magnetic Shemjaza, whose very name means the Proud One, 200 of these celestial beings looked down upon a world ripe with innocence. They, for the first time, beauty in mortal flesh, and to experience firsthand whispers among them of forbidden longing and of secrets locked away beneath. Under a moonlit sky atop the woman, they gathered an unbreakable vow. Azazel, once the bright teacher of bronze and iron, stood at their thunder. They pledged to forsake their lofty domes and unite men. Some say the very stones of them trembled as their oath was sealed. We will.
I've never heard of Herman. I don't know what stones he's referring to, and why were they trembling? They were scared that they came down to earth. And so, like I said, that's the one thing that I did know. I know that the story goes they descended because they saw the sons of men and wanted wives, and they wanted children.
We'll go down. We will walk among them. We will share the knowledge that only belongs to the divine. Then, radiant wings, once vassals of light, folded behind them as they stepped onto earth. They cloaked their divine forms in human flesh, adopting the customs and dress of early tribes. And there, in hidden groves and primitive villages, they took wives, women drawn as if by magnetism to these otherworldly visitors. None could resist their allure. The Watchers possessed an aura of power and wisdom that set them apart from mortal men. Yet their descent brought more than ecstasy. They arrived bearing gifts, stolen from the heavenly forge. Azazel taught the bending of metal, how to strike glowing ore with hammer to create weapons of war, tools of dominance. Under his tutelage, early smiths learned to fashion swords that flashed like lightning and armor that defied the strongest blow. What began as awe soon turned to dread, as bronze-tipped arrows cut down the unwary and fierce blades ushered in the tribes. Beside him stood Shemjaza, Prince of Enchantments, who had arts of to grind rare roots that could kill at a whisper or bewitch a rival's mind. Semgnuts alight with candle flame, fledgling magi carved jewels into clay. believing they held sway over life and death, but they knew not the
And so talking about sigils is interesting because I just recently found out about them, and all the emojis are based off of sigils, which is crazy. So being able to hold power and be able to be activated, right? So like when people do like hexes and they put that like circle with the star and stuff on it, that is like a sigil. And so it's just interesting that there's way more of them around us every day than we realize.
true price of meddling with powers they barely understood. Others among the Watchers read the secrets of the heavens. Barakij traced impossible ways of stars, teach her the constellations. Kokabel showed how to name them, grouping them into signs of fate, dictating these. Sariel spoke of influence on tides and tides of knowledge once reserved for the throne room of God, spilled into the hands of men, forging chaos. As tribes armed themselves and scribes filled scrolls with celestial lore, the balance of the world tilted toward chaos. The Watchers, intoxicated by impact, far beyond their allotted time, amassed followers. Their names whispered in reverence and fear. In Valley, a cult would arise, flames flickering in stone chambers as disciples chanted the names of fallen angels in hope of further power. Kindly on this defiance, in the vault of the firmament, archangels beheld the burgeoning darkness. Michael, the great warrior of the Most High, lifted his voice in lament. Uriel, whose eyes pierced the deepest, foresaw suffering to come. In solemn council, they petitioned the Creator. These Watchers must be judged, and their reach exceed their mandate. Though the decree was issued, the Watchers would be bound. Before they could be seized, their hybrid offspring, giants born of angel and human, might be dealt with. But that reckoning belongs to the next chapter. For now, the Watchers stood at the crossroads of fate, their rebellion echoing across ages, their forbidden gifts woven into the tapestry of human history. And so ends our exploration of those first angels who fell.
And so with him talking about the Nephilim, the one example that a lot of us have heard of is the idea of Goliath. And Goliath is just one version of the Nephilim. And then one thing before we even get into it, I'm wondering if he's going to say, I just want to beat him to the punch, is the idea that demigods and Greek gods and Roman gods were all just offspring of the original fallen angels.
Not through wrath or envy, but through the most human of yearnings, so to touch, to become. They would reshape mankind's path forever, seeing destinies with warfare and law. In the coming chapters, we will witness the terrifying fruit of their union, and the divine hand that sought to prune the tree of corruption from the world. But for these 6 minutes, the Watchers linger. Angelic guardians turned rebels, whose audacity to walk among us ignited a flame that still burns in the hidden corners of our collective soul. They brought fire to our stars, to our eyes, but each gift was a thread in a tapestry of corruption. Azazel, once a keeper of heavenly light, became the master smith of humanity's first weapons. At his command, mortal hands learned to smelt ore into bronze and iron, clanging hammers forging swords that sang with lethal promise, shields that turned aside the strongest blow. Under his tutelage, fledgling smiths discovered how to summon sparks from stone, how glowing metal could redress the balance of power among warring tribes. What began as wonder soon bled into horror. Bronze-tipped arrows rained upon unsuspecting villages, axes cleaved skulls, and warriors donned armor that turned man into living bastion. But Azazel's lessons did not end at the forge. He taught the secret art of adornment, how to crush minerals into powders to darken the eyelids or redden the lips, how to anoint the skin with scented oil. In hidden alcoves, women of the age learned to transform their faces into masks of allure, drawing both admiration
And that right there is why in the Bible, like this jewelry and makeup is essentially witchcraft or bad, is because the origins of it came from the fallen who did teach good things, but it was riddled with a lot of bad things as well. And the idea of makeup was to be used as a way of perception, not just as a way to, what it's used for today.
and desire. Yet this beauty proved a double-edged blade. Root in hearts, fueled in jealousy, gossip, and lust. Others wept as daughters lost themselves in the pursuit of false radiance, forgetting the simple grace they once wore like a second skin. Tsimgzaza, the enthralling prince of enchantments, revealed the path to forbidden power. In the hush of candlelit huts, he showed mortal hands how to braid roots and crushed bones into potent draughts. Potions that could tranquilize a chieftain's spirit or inflame a neighbor's blood with murderous ire. He whispered runes of compulsion and revenge, teaching initiates to carve sigils into clay talismans and anoint them with blood-laced oils. Around crackling fires, fledgling sorcerers invoked names lighter than air but darker than the abyss, believing they could bind fate itself. The cost, however, was each spell carved a scar upon the soul. Each incantation beckoned whispered horrors from the void. Not all lessons wrapped in darkness. Barkehal, the stargazer, pointed to the vision of constellations, unveiling the celestial roadmap that orders the seasons and shapes mortal destiny. Kokabels, grouping them into signs of portent and prophecy. Under their guidance, scribes etched the first star charts upon clay tablets, planting the seeds of astrology that still bind billions to the whims of the zodiac. Tsimgzaza's brother Amaros lent his knowledge of counter-enchantments, how to unravel a rival's spell with carefully uttered words, how to turn one's own curses back upon their sender. And Shamsiel, whose visage shone with solar brilliance, instructed on the sun's passage, the length of days, and the hidden power of its warming rays. Sariel spoke softly of the moon's gentle pull, guiding others and sowers alike to respect its silent authority. To more these teachings short of divine blessings, communities built temple noxes, kings claimed.
They're saying that temples and buildings built into the equinoxes and the bodies and stars. That's why there is a reason behind it. It's all aligned for a reason, and there's energy centers. World is built on an energy center, and if you look at the whole world, if you just look at your city, if you live in the United States, just look at your state, your town. It's built on a grid. What do we know about grids? We have power grids, right? Grid for your circuit, right? And the circuit board goes inside of what? You feel me? Everything or a microchip in it. So they were building all of their buildings according to energy grids for a reason.
Celestial mandate, and Magi rose in secret towers to sorcery. Yet with every new craft, new birthed as soldiers marched to battle, believing preordained. Potions brewed paranoia as neighbors eyed one another of hidden blame under its power. Worse, the watchers, intoxicated by their influence, lingered far beyond their divine mandate, feasting on human adoration. Divine stature. Such universal myth suggests a shared memory, a time when the veil between power, not the wisdom of restraint. They were as titans born of both heaven and earth, the fire that threatened to consume it. In the next chapter, we will witness the terrifying offspring of these unions, the giants who walked the earth and ushered in their own reckoning under the deluge of judgment. But for these 7 minutes, remember this. The greatest gift can become the deadliest curse when wielded by those who know only the thrill of power, not the wisdom of restraint. They were as titans born of both heaven and earth, beings of such prodigious size.
And the fact that he just Clash of the Titans. Some believe is the story of the offspring they had with the sons of men. And that's how we ended up with demigods and stories like Hercules.
Size and strength that mortals could only look up in awe and terror. From the secret unions of the Watchers and Nephilim, giants whose footsteps shook the ground, whose voices echoed like thunder across the valleys. In those early days, men spoke of them in hushed tones, calling them the mighty men. They towered above ordinary folk and wielded power that seemed divine. Yet their greatness was shadowed by a terrible hunger. As children, they grew at impossible rates, their bones stretching skyward, their limbs thick like ancient tree trunks. By adolescence, they bore weapons almost too large for mortal hands. Battle axes of bronze that no ordinary smith could forge, clubs carved from the trunks of primeval oaks. With these instruments, they stalked the land, enforcing their will upon hapless villages where once hunter-gatherers lived in fragile harmony. Now armies of giants laid waste, feasting on the spoils of their conquests, and drinking from rivers until they ran dry. According to fragments of the Book of Giants discovered among the Dead Sea Scrolls, these colossi dreamed of apocalypse. In tattered scrolls, we find nightmares of colossal shadows rising from the earth, visions of a flood that would sweep away even their vast forms. They knew they were abominations, spurning the boundary between flesh and spirit, and in their dreams, they heard the voice of your days are numbered. Even so, they pressed on. Earthen mounds that dwarfed human pyramids, megalithic walls that still defy explanation to the legacy. In Genesis, the Nephilim are called the heroes who once were on earth, and later Moses' spies report seeing giants in Canaan, the descendants of Anak and Og. So
and in the Bible, they called them men of renown. You feel me? So they were known and they were impressive, but they weren't necessarily all good.
That they left the Israelites feeling like grasshoppers in comparison. In Numbers, it is said, there we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, come elves like grasshoppers, and so we seemed to them. Their presence became legend. Goliath, the Philistine champion, stood 9 feet tall, his armor clanking like a chariot in battle, a direct echo of those antediluvian behemoths.
Good word. You don't hear that word very often.
Is not confined to one people. Across the globe, the ancient civilization tells of demigods and giants. The Greek titan Atlas held the sky upon his shoulders. The North.
What did I say? I told you. I think maybe I just said it because I wanted to beat him to the punch, but he just said the Greek gods. You feel me? The Roman gods, Hercules, all to the fallen angels, and it's all in the Bible, but it's all written throughout history as well. We've just been looking at the story in a whole bunch of different pieces, but literally just think about the idea that if these were angels and they came to heaven, of course the same on earth or have abilities as regular human people, and neither will their children. Like, what? And that's what they were telling us with the demigods.
Roamed the wilds. The Sumerian epic describes his own part divine stature. Such suggests a shared memory. A time when the veil between divine and human was thin, and the offspring of that union walked the earth in splendor and terror. Their might, the Nephilim sowed the seeds of their own destruction. Seismic flood. Before those waters were bound, and the giant's fate sealed beneath the waves. In the next chapter, we witness that great reckoning. A cleansing deluge that purged the world of these monstrous offspring, the stage for a new beginning. Heeded the heavens' decree. In the vault above, Michael the warrior lifted his sword. Uriel the watcher wept at humanity's plight. Gabriel the messenger readied his trumpet, and Raphael the healer stood ready to bind the fate of angels and men alike. As the archangels assembled before the throne, the Almighty's voice echoed like rolling thunder. The Watchers have overstepped their bounds, and darkened the earth with sin. Their offspring, the Nephilim, are monsters unfit to inherit creation. Wash away their stain, and bind the Watchers in chains until the day of final judgment. Bell, Watchers of divine will. Their bonds of pride and power, chains of celestial bronze, unbreakable by any earthly hand. Slither limbs, one by one, were driven into the abyss. Semjaza hurled into caverns beneath the earth, their wings folded and locked. Azazel passed into the desert pit, jagged rocks pinning him until the world to Tartarus, dark between their mercy was slowed, a roar of divine wrath. Then came Noah's flood. Nephilim giants, too vast for the ark's safety, runs in swelled into seas, quaking mountains crumbled, but even those earthen tombs cracked under the deluge's force. Stones sink beneath the waves, their spirits doomed to wander as the demons that plague our nightmares. 17th day of the 7th month, a rainbow watched across a cleansed sky, a covenant of mercy for renewed creation. Noah and his family stepped onto dry ground, the last living link to a world reborn. The Watchers remained bound, awaiting release at the world's end. The Nephilim lay entombed in sediment and myth, and mankind spared but for the tools of civilization and the shadows of forbidden power. Thus the divine judgment was meted. It was not punishment of men, but a cosmic purge of angelic rebels and their monsterism.
That right there is another call this fallen world, because the fallen angels came here and then they pretty much made this world their world, and that's why this thing is now as above as below, because they like to turn earth to the same as above, right? And then afterwards the new heaven is on earth, you feel me? So hey, I guess heaven is here. I don't know.
Heaven asserted its sovereignty, yet the echoes of that reckoning would reverberate through history, hidden in demon lore, whispered caves of mystics, and questioned by those who see in every ancient judgment. The earth no more, yet the tale did not end with the recent waters. From the bones of the drowned giants, a darker truth. The Nephilim spirits, denied both heaven and earth. In the book of Enoch we read his disembodied soul, no mortal body to inhabit, nor divine home. The world, malignant phantoms.
And so the part about the hunters of flesh and everything, comment on that, but the idea that they were the first beings to not have anymore or anywhere for it to go is something that they got kicked out of heaven, right? Where they're supposed to stay, right? Or at least wherever everything allowed everything to be, but they left. And then they got kicked out. So there was nowhere for them to go. And so that's how we got the first line. Crazy word.
They were years of dreamers, sowed mess in the dark. The origins of demonology were born, not in fire, but in the aftermath of a cosmic purge. Shadowy giants haunted the soil. Yet the seed of forbidden knowledge had taken root deep within human hearts. Noah's sons, perhaps unknowingly, carried traces of Watcher lore. Fragments of enchantments and star lore passed in hushed tones around primitive hearths. From these fragments emerged the cult of Nimrod, the mighty hunter and founder of Babel, who inherited a flicker of his ancestors' ambition. Nimrod marshaled craftsmen and mystics alike to erect the tower, a ziggurat of pride meant to reach heaven itself. His name became synonymous with rebellion, the first post-flood figure to grasp at divine secrets once more. Yet true descendants of the Nephilim were not limited to lore. The Hebrew scriptures allude to giants afterward in Canaan, Anakim and Rephaim, whose enormous footprint frightened the Israelites to despair. These were survivors of the antediluvian line who hid in remote mountain caves, yielding sporadic bloodlines that intermarried with local tribes. Other theories, favored by fringe historians, argue for a second incursion of Watchers, a reprise of the ancient betrayal under cover of post-flood darkness. Whichever the case, the notion of giant offspring persisted, cropping up in local legends from the British Isles stone circles to the Andes megalithic walls. Behind the scenes, guardians of arcane wisdom went underground. Secret brotherhoods and sisterhoods, precursors to the Rosicrucians and later the Freemasons, preserved scraps of angelic teachings in coded manuscripts and ritual initiations. High priests of hidden temples maintained the star charts bequeathed by Baragijal and the lunar rites taught by Sarial, even as mainstream priests condemned such practices as heresy. Initiates believed that true power lay in walking the razor's edge between light and the Watchers had once done. In ancient cities, disciples gathered flickering lamps to chant the names Semjaza and Azazel, seeking to draw upon the same energies that shaped early civilization. Meanwhile, the tale of Cain's lineage sprouted its own conspiracy. Some apocryphal traditions, echoing the whispers of early Christian sects, claimed that Cain was born of Eve's union with Dark Angel, marking the first serpent seed. This forbidden offspring, cursed to wander the earth, spawned families steeped in cunning and cruelty. Over millennia, these serpent bloodlines subtly influenced royal dynasties and merchant houses alike.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot about that theory once or twice. The idea that actually Abel's blood brother, and I thought that's interesting. I think it's really interesting he brought it up. dude's going in for real, for real. Like I wasn't like well versed because I haven't seen places tie this many different things together so well. You feel me? Like he started off talking about Samaria, right? And I'm like, all right, cool. And then we talking about, yeah, let's just keep going.
True provenance buried beneath genealogical records and royal myths. Legendary rulers, Merovingian kings, pharaohs in Egypt, sultans in Arabia, claimed divine ancestry. To conspiracy theorists, such claims were coded admissions of...
Nah, actually, I got to stop again. Because the fact that he just said that, I've been waiting on him to get to that. And the idea of just certain bloodlines and dynasties and rulers and stuff like that, just throughout history, all over the place, all different countries and continents. With the fact that every nation has its own stories and like lore, like what we're talking about here. And that there's so many different nations that all built similar structures. And they all were built in a similar like measurement dimension facing similar places. And he already touched on the idea of sigils, and I brought up the idea of certain things having certain energetic charges in Nikola Tesla, right? But let's just keep going.
Of Nephilim heritage. Even the throughout, angels' influence seeped through hidden bloodlines and secret sanctuaries. Their forbidden arts survived in occult orders. Their offspring walked again in giant form. Their spirits stalked. The world rebuilt upon the Ark's fresh soil, but the undercurrents of Watcher lore continued to shape empires, cults, and conspiracies. As we peer into the shadows of history, we must ask, do these hidden legacies live on today, guiding secret societies and influencing global power structures? In the next chapter, we will turn our gaze to the celestial Lucifer, Satan, and the cosmos. In the vast expanse of the heavens, another rebellion unfolded, one that would forever entwine the figures of Lucifer and Satan in celestial infamy. Once known as the morning star, Lucifer shone brighter than any other cherub, his countenance aglow with divine radiance. Yet pride stirred in his heart. He beheld creation and yearned to ascend above the throne itself. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, he declared in the hidden halls of heaven. I will be like the Most High, Lucifer's fall.
And so exactly, that was the downfall from the beginning. The idea that he
in scripture
wanted to make himself exactly the same.
Isaiah laments, how you have fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. A lament more of downfall of a Babylonian king, but echoed in the traditions of angelic revolt. In Revelation, a great war erupts. Michael and his angels clash against the dragon and his host. And the great dragon, that ancient serpent, who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world, was thrown down to the earth. Here, the names of Lucifer and Satan merge into the figure of the adversary, cast out from...
And see, this is what I'm saying. I'm so glad that he's doing such a good job with this video, because I always say, like, the word Satan isn't necessarily his name. Satan was a title, and it means the adversary, which just means the opponent, the other side. And one thing I always say is, like, if I'm somebody's opponent and I'm really playing to win, and this is the win for keeps, like life or the end, bruh, I don't care how I win. It could be an easy dub, it could be a hard dub, it could be a fair game, it could be a dirty game. Like, all I know is I need the dub. He's literally the adversary, the first one to go against. He got to get that dub.
Into darkness. Yet more arcane sources suggest a deeper nuance. In the second book of Enoch, the leader of the Watchers bears the name Satanael, a proud angel who sought to elevate his own throne above heaven's gates. An echo of Lucifer's sin. Some Gnostic traditions distinguish Lucifer, the light bringer of enlightenment, from Satan, the accuser or prosecuting angel. They are two facets of divine justice and rebellion, rather than a single being. In these esoteric circles, Lucifer is sometimes revered as the patron of...
Oh, snap. I really like this video. I'm learning something now. He's talking about it being two different beings. I've never heard that concept or idea. Okay, chat. What we think about that? The idea that Lucifer, Satan, and the adversary, the devil, was multiple beings. That's a thought. That's a thought.
Knowledge, while Satan embodies the force of opposition that tests human faith. Medieval grimoires and occultists like Eliphas Levi describe Lucifer symbolically as the active generative spirit of creation, and Satan as the passive restraining principle, two poles of cosmic balance. This duality is mirrored in secret society lore. Some Freemasons claim to venerate Lucifer as Lightbringer in allegory, while mainstream Christianity decries any Luciferian worship as devil's craft. Thus, the rebellion of angels holds two intertwined tales, Lucifer's pride and Satan's role as adversary, both cast down in a cataclysm of divine judgment. Whether one being wearing many masks or two distinct cosmic powers, their stories reflect the eternal tension between illumination and obedience, knowledge and submission. As we peer into these myths, we confront a profound question. Is the true villain the one who rebels against tyranny, or the one who enforces it? In the chapters ahead, we will explore how these celestial dramas echo in Gnostic, revealing fallen angels not just as destroyers, but as bearers of forbidden wisdom, and perhaps as guides for those daring enough to seek the light beyond the veil. In the hidden corridors of spiritual lore, the fallen angels take on no longer merely corruptors of flesh, but bearers of secret wisdom that challenges the orthodox. In the Nag Hammadi codices, the Gnostics portray the cosmic rulers, the Archons, not as benevolent stewards, but as jealous jailers who erect the material world as a prison for divine sparks trapped within humanity. These Archons echo the Watchers, for they too descended from the Pleroma to meddle in mortal affairs. In the Apocryphon of John, the Serpent of Eden, long reviled by mainstream faiths, emerges as a liberator. Its forbidden fruit contained the light of Gnosis, the secret knowledge by which Adam and Eve could transcend the demiurge's bondage. To Gnostic eyes, then, the story of Lucifer and the serpent intertwines, a narrative not of ultimate evil, but of a radical invitation to awaken. Beyond Gnostic texts lies a tapestry of apocryphal manuscripts that refract the fallen angel saga through divergent prisms. The Book of Jubilees expands upon the Watchers' descent, framing their original mission as a divine experiment gone awry. These angels were sent to instruct humanity in righteousness, yet lust and ambition warped their purpose, birthing corruption in men.
You see, I never knew that they were actually sent here to do anything with the humans. I knew that Lucifer at one time was supposed to be involved in going back and forth, and that's how they even saw. And I know they were supposed to overlook, but I didn't know they were ever supposed to directly come to Earth. I thought they just left on their own accord to begin with.
And hints that Noah's own birth carried subtle traces of angelic blood. Shining eyes and prophetic dreams suggest a child touched by heavenly lineage, fostering ancient suspicions that the deliverer of the flood bore an unspoken link to the very beings he would condemn. Such details, supracanonical scripture, circulated among Jewish saw in the flood not simply a moral purge, but a resetting of cosmic balance. Centuries later, during the High Middle Ages, occult scholars began to rediscover these arcane fragments, weaving them into esoteric systems that straddled light and shadow. Eliphas Levi, the 19th century French magician, recast Lucifer symbolically as the force of intellectual illumination, writing that Satan and Lucifer are archetype. One tests faith, the other reveals truth. His writings inspired generations of occultists. Alphonse Louis Constant, Levi's birth name, insisted that the Masons' emblematic pillars of Boaz and Jachin represented the dual pillars of mercy and severity. A direct inheritance of the angelic dichotomy would claim direct communion with spiritual intelligences he called holy guardians, continuing a lineage of occult contact that echoes the Watchers' forbidden dialogues with humanity. In these secret rites, symbols, pentagrams, hexagrams, orbs, serve portals, invite practitioners into a liminal realm, where angel and demon merge in the crucible of inner transformational clandestinehoods like the Rosicrucians, and later certain branches of Freemasonry adopted teachers under layers of allegorical reconstructions, veiled references to Solomon's temple, intricately drawn floor mosaics. These societies star lore, fragments of Enochian alphabets, and rudimentary recipes for sacred oils that echo the Watchers' own teachings. Initiates swear oaths upon hidden texts, promising to guard the secrets of celestial alchemy that confer both power and peril. To the uninitiated, but to the adept, each geometric form vibrates with the resonance of angelic frequencies. Frequencies once used by Shemjaza and Shemjaza to shape consciousness. In the shadows of Europe's Baroque cathedrals, an undercurrent of esoteric Christianity reinterpreted this lore in stark colors. The Lesser Key of Solomon, a grimoire compiled in the 1772 demons, said to be the spirits of the Nephilim, or renegade angels, each bound by a... Paradoxically, the same text outlines rituals for invoking benevolent knowledge and prophecy, suggesting a dual tradition. One of demonic subjugation, and one of angelic communion. Those who cling to the fear of the fallen, and those who seek communion with them as part.
What are schisms? What are the early schisms?
To transcendence. Thus, in the world to Gnostic thought, the fallen angels are neither holy villains nor sanitized complex archetypes of rebellion and they embody the eternal tension in obedience and enlightenment between the protective boundaries set by divine authority and the...
I'm not gonna lie, this man is doing way too of a job, because with what he's saying now, it's kind of making me even understand, like what I was saying earlier, having all the Greek and Roman gods, and then having all of the Hindu gods and goddesses, and the Yorubas and stuff like that is like they're all archetypes, right? Embody a lot of good and bad, right? And they're supposed to teach people, right? So what he's saying kind of makes sense.
Daring impulse to exceed them, their secrets, lost texts.
That's a crazy place to have at. You're about to hear something important. Cut.
Coded manuscripts, whispered initiations, beckon a spiritually curious few to explore the liminal spaces between dogma and direct experience. As we emerge from these hidden libraries, we must ask ourselves, do we fear the fallen for their transgressions, or honor them for the spark of wisdom they attempted to ignite within us? In the next chapter, we will peer beyond mystic.
I feel like that's hard to say. I feel like most people who understand that the fallen angels came and brought a lot of destruction are scared. But I feel like when people stop and understand that they watchers of like humans, they're interested in what the deeper story is. And then I feel like people who look at the fallen angels as being demons or aliens get scared because the idea of that other. And I mean, I think there's room for all of it. And I'll say for me personally, I think kind of all of it. You feel me? Like, I don't know. It's not, I just think about it logically, which is really weird to say I'm thinking about this logically, but follow along. If you want to believe in Greek gods, you want to believe in Roman gods, you want to believe in the Yorubas, you want to believe in Christianity, you want to believe in heaven and hell and earth and all of these things, then I think that all of these things have room for scrutiny and connection, right? Because they're all talking about either eternal life, everlasting life. They're talking about people who live for people who do like miraculous wonders and miracles and stuff like that, right? But they're also talking about doing things the right way and the wrong way, right? And then they also have timelines on them, right? And so it's like with anything, certain things get outdated. But yeah, I'm rambling. I feel like I'm gonna just continue the video. It's almost over.
Crypts into the realm of modern conspiracy, where these ancient figures appear as emissary worldly agenda. They came not on wings, grace, but aboard silent vessels of gleaming metal. Their arrival writ large across the door. Astronaut theorists point to the same Book of Enoch that describes the Watchers descending as evidence of extraterrestrial contact. Aliens in divine guise come to seed our world with knowledge and blood.
I think it's crazy as hell. I want to think of the Watchers as aliens, and then boom, what popped up? Him talking about aliens. Look, bro, I just be knowing.
Imagine colossal crafts breaching the atmosphere, their hulls glowing like distant stars, then settling upon barren plains as prehistoric tribes.
Cause I ain't never seen this video before. I ain't never watched this video.
Fell to their knees in bewildered worship. From Sumer to Sinai, the names change, Anunnaki, Nephilim, Watchers, but the pattern remains. Advanced beings impart uncanny gifts and vanish into the sky. Eric von Daniken in Chariots of the Gods drew on these parallels, arguing that star maps carved into Egyptian temples were not coincidences, but blueprints left. On those walls, figures in strange helmets hold tools far beyond Bronze Age capability. Could these be early astronauts, sharing geometry, astronomy, and metallurgy with receptive humans, just as Semjaza taught enchantments and Azazel taught forging? Consider the Epic of Gilgamesh, where gods walk among men, granting demigod strength. To ancient alien proponents, this is not myth, but memory, a half-alien hero whose story survived as legend. In the Andes, massive stone platforms carved into mountainsides bear uncanny precision. In Central America, the pyramids align perfectly. Is the handiwork of human ingenuity alone, or guidance for the trees? Modern UFO accounts mirror these ancient tales. Today's abductees speak of hybrid experiments, part human, part other, echoing the Nephilim narrative. Military insiders claim recovered non-human bodies and reverse-engineered technologies. Some whistleblowers allege secret power.
And that's another thing right there. If you look at the Bible, it says there's nothing. And if you just look at a centaur, dog, at what was his name? Thomas from In the Witch in the Wardrobe, and like these, feel me, like genetic engineering, right? And then some people even talk about like he was saying aliens, right? And like the idea that even Jesus was implanted in natural, and like the idea of having artificial insemination, not like what, mind blowing. Except like I'm not saying that I think that's real or that that's the case or nothing. I'm just saying that's a heard.
Acts. Governments trading futuristic weapons for alien genetics workshops. To conspiracy circles, the Watchers were left. They simply cloaked themselves in new forms and continued their ancient agenda of secrecy. With UFO lore, silencers perched at the edge of our awareness. Scanning 47, when pilot Kenneth Arnold reported crescent-shaped craft skimming the Cascade Peaks, the world glimpsed again what tribes saw at Herman. Contact beyond our realm. Declassified files hint at military routes to harness alien tech, covert bases where extraterrestrial biological entities are studied in locked chambers.
I don't know what happened to my camera, y'all. I don't know what happened to my camera. Literally, I just was moving it up and it flew.
Whether divine angel or extra, these may be blurred the and alien. Their teachings, its star lore or flying machines, shaped and worn may be imminent. New crop-circled orbs on satellite feeds and government leaks, all witnessing once more the descent of the Watchers. This time to claim Earth as their cosmic experiment. As we move into the hidden dealings of bloodlines and secret societies, remember that the line between angel, alien, and author of human history may be far thinner than we dare imagine.
Yo. That's all I said. Is I literally just said that. Alien, let's go back. Let's just run that back real quick. Literally just said that.
Herman, struts in the sky, signaling contact beyond our realm. Declassified files hint at military recoveries near crash sites, classified programs to harness alien tech, and covert bases where extraterrestrial biological entities are studied in locked chambers. Whether divine angel or extraterrestrial engineer, these sky beings blur the boundary between God and alien. Their teachings, be it star lore or flying machines, shaped civilization to the space race, and their return, some warn, may be imminent. Satellite feeds and government leaks all rekindle the ancient question: are we witnessing once more the descent of the Watchers? This time to claim Earth. As we move into the hidden dealings of bloodlines and secret societies, angel, alien, and author of human history may be far thinner than we dare imagine. They say the fallen angel's influence never truly vanished. It seeped into the blood of mortals and took root in secret brotherhoods that have shaped history from the shadows. According to fringe genealogies, the world's most powerful dynasties trace their lineage back to the Nephilim, or the serpent seed of Eden itself. Among conspiracy circles, the so-called T-bloodline to be intermarried descendants of Cain himself, some ancient archangel, and Eve, marked by a curse and gifted with royal houses from the Merovingians of medieval France to modern banking families supposedly leaving their divine right is not bizarre, but inherited from thrones and secret societies arose to cultivate and conceal the legacy. Rosicrucians emerging in the 17th century.
Hi guys, I'm sorry. I can't get this layout to go back the way I wanted to. I've been here for a second. I'm about to just restart this real quick because it's annoying me. I'm literally restarting it right now. okay, that's what I did. It says drag here to delete, but I'm gonna just leave it in the bottom corner. Oh, I'm gonna just run this back a little bit. If you're new in here, we talking about fallen angels, we talking about the Nephilim, we talking about demigods, we talking about Roman gods, we talking about Greek gods, we talking about a whole lot right now. We talking about a whole lot of, and this is actually probably one of the most in-depth videos I've ever seen on this topic. If you just coming in and you are interested in what you hear, go ahead and just go to my page and go to my YouTube, subscribe. And I'm gonna have a whole video up on YouTube, but we just gonna jump back into it real quick.
Agenda. They came not on wings, but aboard silent vessels of gleaming, their arrival writ large of the dawn of human memory. Ancient astronaut the same Book of Enoch that describes the Watchers descending as evidence of extraterrestrial contact. Aliens in divine guise come to seed our world with knowledge and blood. Imagine colossal crafts breaching the atmosphere, their hulls glowing like distant stars, then settling upon barren plains as prehistoric tribes fell to their knees in bewildered worship. From Sumer to Sinai, the names change, Anunnaki, Nephilim, Watchers, but the pattern remains. Advanced beings impart uncanny gifts, then vanish into the sky. Erich von Daniken in Chariots of the Gods drew on these parallels, arguing that star maps carved into Egyptian temples were not coincidences, but blueprints left by our celestial tutors. On those walls, figures in strange helmets hold tools far beyond these be early astronauts, sharing geometry, astronomy, and metallurgy with receptive humans, just as Semjaza taught enchantments, and Azazel taught forging. Consider the Epic of Gilgamesh, where gods walk among men, granting demigods strength. To ancient alien proponent but memory, a half-alien hero whose story survived. In the these massive stone plies bear uncanny precision. America, the pyramids align perfectly to Orion's belt. Is this the handiwork of human ingenuity alone, or guidance from visitors who charted the stars millennia before our first observatories? Modern UFO and abduction accounts these. Today's abductees speak of hybrid experiments, echoing the Nephilim narrative. Military insiders claim engineered technologies. Some whistleblowers allege secret pack demonstrating futuristic weapons for genetics workshops. To conspiracy circles, the Watchers themselves in new forms and continue agenda under a veil of secret. Even the term Watcher resonates with UFO lore. Silent observers perched at the edge of our awareness, scanning our progress. In 1947, when pilot Kenneth Arnold reported crescent-shaped craft skimming the Cascade Peaks, the world in the sky, signaling contact beyond our realm. Eglassitories on its alien tech and covert bases. Extraterrestrial logical studied in locked chambers. Divine angel or extraterrestrial.
That's crazy. He said divine what beings or whatever beings. And that's what I have stuff to say, but I don't want to say it right now because
These sky beings blur the boundaries. Star Lore or flying machines shaped civilizations from the Neolithic megaliths to the space race, and their return, some warn, may be imminent. New crop circles, strange orbs on satellite feeds, and government leaks all rekindle the ancient question: are we witnessing once more the descent of the Watchers? This time to claim Earth as their cosmic experiment. As we move into the hidden dealings of bloodlines and secret societies, remember that the line between angel, alien, and author of human history may be far thinner than we dare imagine. They say the fallen angel's influence never truly vanished. It seeped into the blood of mortals and took root in secret brotherhoods that have shaped history from the shadows. According to fringe genealogy, the world's most powerful dynasties trace their lineage back to the seed of Eden itself. Among conspiracy circles, Illuminati bloodlines are whispered to be intermarried descendants of Cain himself. Some ancient traditions claim the first child of a dark angel and Eve, marked by a curse and gifted with cunning intelligence. Royal houses from the Merovingians of medieval France to modern banking families supposedly guard this sacred taint, believing their divine right is not bestowed by God, but inherited from celestial rebels. Behind gilded thrones and parliamentary facades, secret societies arose to cultivate and conceal this legacy. The Rosicrucians, emerging in the 17th century, claimed an heritage that extended beyond Christendom, to angelic teachers who once walked the earth. Initiates received fragments of angelic alphabets, echoes of the Enochians, ritual alchemy that mirrored the Watchers' forbidden arts. Hidden beneath European monasteries, cathedrals, and later Masonic lodges, these orders encoded their rituals in elaborate symbolism. Twin pillars representing mercy and severity, staircases winding toward illuminated
did I say again? Bro, I'm sorry for yelling in y'all ears. I'm sorry. Fucking, what is that? That's a star. That's the star, a pentagram. But when they was talking about sigils, I was saying they believe certain shapes hold power, like that type of star, and then start doing now. You feel me? Summoning Wu Wahi, whatever the fuck, right? And so, one, the fact that that's there right now is just confirming what I was saying, and then two, all of the emojis in our phone are based off of that same concept.
Sanctums, all designed to remind the adept of the angels who taught mankind to branch forth in knowledge and power. Freemasonry itself, born of medieval stonemasons' guilds, theorists say, concealed the craft secrets of the Watchers. Tales of Hut Temple are seen as veiled references to angelic building masters who once imparted sacred geometry to us. The all-seeing eye in a radiant triangle and the checkerboard floor are interpreted not merely as moral lessons, but as...
And that checkerboard floor should be killing me, because the more you understand about this, the more deep you realize it gets. And I just be out in public nowadays seeing checkerboard floors and being like, this shit get deep.
Ancient star charts, gemstone molding formulas, and thresholds to lodge rituals off limits to non-initiates are rumored to culminate in invocations of Simjaza or Azazel, calling upon spirits of knowledge that lurk between worlds. Parallel to these brotherhoods, clandestine orders to guard serpent blood persisted in the East. In Sumerian and Babylonian records, priestly families with Anunnaki glyphs, symbols some modern searchers link directly to the Nephilim. These families passed down oracular secrets through temple schools, methods of reading omens, interpreting dreams of giant phantoms, and even performing genetic rites intended to preserve the divine in their own offspring. When Alexander the Great conquered Persia, he was said to have married into one such bloodline, a union that some legends claim granted him the favor of celestial patrons, testimony perhaps to an enduring alliance between human conquerors and angelic overlord. Across the Atlantic, early settlers in North America unearthed massive skeletons in the 19th century, giant remains 10 feet tall, only to find their discoveries lost to a...
Do this again, but I said that earlier in the beginning, that giant remains have been found. I said that earlier in the beginning. We 40 minutes in. I said that when we was on about 10. I told y'all I'd be known.
Official archives, newspapers of the era carried sensational reports, photographs included, yet this as a systematic cover-up orchestrated by secret societies embedded in government institutions, determined to suppress evidence of Nephilim bloodlines. They argue that universities and national museums quietly acquired these finds, sealed them in private vaults, and replaced public exhibits with fabricated bones of oversized humans, ensuring that the giants of old documented in science. Meanwhile, in modern times, think tanks and foundations funded by elite families are alleged to continue the Watcher's mission under another name, the New World Order. Grants pour into bioengineering programs aimed at extending human life, geoengineering projects to control weather, and surveillance technologies that map every heartbeat and breath. Technologies uncannily reminiscent of the Watcher's original gifts, now repurposed on a planetary scale. Critics warn that these advances herald a new era of angelic or alien oversight, where genetic manipulation could one day resurrect Nephilim traits and a governance bind humanity in the digital chains first in Mount Hermon's shadow. Yet not all venerate this heritage. Some clandestine lineages, like the inspiration groups, claim to preserve only the lights of angelic tyranny and violence that followed. They guard hidden manuscripts, fragments of 2 Enoch, the Dead Sea Book of Giants, and lost Jubilees texts, believing the true enlightenment comes from integrating heroic potential with moral restraint. In candlelit chambers, they recite Enoch's exoflip on the earth, and to honor both the spark of heaven within and the dignity of mortal flesh. To the outsider, these tangled genealogies and cryptic societies appear as the paranoid imaginings of conspiracy theorists. Yet for millions who follow these threads, they represent an umbro linking us to celestial beginnings and still unfolding. If the Nephilim's blood truly flows in some hidden pedigrees, then the question becomes not only who wields power, but why. These guided by a commitment to uplift humanity, or by a deeper allegiance to their promise of forbidden dominion. As we peel back layers of myth and secrecy, we discover that angels may lie not in ancient texts alone, but in living institutions, bloodlines, and technologies that shape our world. In the final chapter, we will confront the ultimate expression of this legacy, the looming New World Order and its apocalyptic portents, when the ancient drama of rebellion and redemption reaches its modern climax. As twilight yields to a new dawn of power, the ancient drama of the fallen angels enters its final act, the rise of a new world order, a global empire whispered to be the culmination of celestial rebellion. Across continents, a web of institutions, governments, corporations, secret societies moves in eerie harmony. Their leaders speak of globalization, unity, progress, But beneath the polished rhetoric lies an undercurrent of control seeded millennia ago by those first watchers. Remember Nimrod's Tower of Babel, humanity's first bid to touch the heavens? Today's architects build their own ziggurats of glass and steel. Sprawling metropolises connected by data streams and satellite grids. They claim these, yet critics warn they mirror Babel's hubris, an ambition to...
What did I say? I told y'all we are on a grid. It's the fact that it's a grid and that it's matching.
One banner, one economy, one truth. In hushed boardrooms, elite families flows from Nephilim blood, just as they inherit the Watcher's original mandate to guide or dominate humanity. High above, surveillance networks learn our every move. Algorithms predict our choices long before we make them. Bioengineers unlock the code of life itself. Gene therapies promising to eradicate disease, but also whispering of designer traits and extended lifespans. The tools once taught on Mount Hermon, metallurgy, cosmetics, star lore, have evolved into advanced weapons, nanotech, and AI. What began as gifts that corrupted early tribes now power a system that some see as a digital prison, where freedom is tamed and dissent erased. Prophecy watchers point to scripture. As in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the coming of the Son of Man. They see the fingerprints of fallen angels, projects that promise to tame the weather but risk unleashing cosmic judgment. They cite CERN's particle collider as a modern gateway, an attempt to pierce the veil between dimensions, to free imprisoned watchers from their cavernous bond. And as theories swirl of secret bunkers and hidden vaults, believers ask, are we on the threshold of a final reckoning? A reenactment of cosmic judgment under the guise of global governance? Yet in every age, a countercurrent of resistance emerges. Independent researchers, whistleblowers, and esoteric to Noah's kin stand guard over hidden texts. They warn that true subjugation but imbalanced knowledge, the wisdom to wield technology without becoming its slave, humility to acknowledge limits, the courage to defy tyranny in any form. They gather in hidden enclaves, preserving sacred scrolls, Enochian alphabets, and the whispered names of Semjaza and Azazel, not to summon, but to remember why we must never repeat the errors of our celestial progenitors. A new world order turn. We face a choice: to accept the mantle of fallen legacy, or to forge a new covenant, one that honors both the spark of heaven within us and the dignity of our shared human destiny. For the final chapter of the fallen angels is still unwritten, and its outcome hinges on whether we awaken.
Direct crazy. Wow. That's some bullshit. I've been on TikTok for over an hour. It just banned me in the last minutes talking about misinformation.
Our freedom and redemption. From the dawn of creation to the cusp of tomorrow, the fallen angels' story courses through our world current, shaping technologies and the very fabric of belief. They were the watchers who brought fire from heaven and stars to our maps, the giants and perished beneath the flood, the architects of forbidden law that seeded both innovation and ruin. Their legacy lives on in secret bloodlines, occult brotherhoods, and the shifting tides of global power, as tangible in the boardrooms of modern empires as it once was on Mount Hermon's windswept heights. Now, as skyscrapers reach ever upward and algorithms chart our every impulse, we face a choice that echoes ancient reckonings. Will we repeat the arrogance that provoked divine wrath, of wisdom with humility and care? The true frontier lies not in conquering the heavens, but in mastering the shadows within, balancing curiosity with conscience, power with compassion. The tale of the fallen angels is far from over. Its final chapter depends on us. Will we become heirs to a legacy of dominion, or will we forge a new covenant that honors both the spark of heaven within and the sanctity of human freedom? The hour is upon us.
I think people on the surface, though, they might have some questions about, like, is he just trying to fit Jesus into New Age stuff, or is he trying to help people in the New Age understand the creator of all the things they're chasing after?
Neither. I'm not drifting into New Age. I've drifted after being in that world. I had never really known God as a father figure. The first time I ever heard his voice, actually, ever, was when he told me to give my companies away. I was taking them through these processes, and the Holy Spirit said, you're going to let them talk to Jesus. Are you saying you want me to, like, preach to them at a business event that they pay 10 grand? But yeah, that seems like a bad idea. You've got all these different religions in the same room. I go up there, if you would like to talk to Jesus about your issues, raise your hand. And the entire room, sitting at a table, I'm like, where's Jesus? And I see him immediately. I asked Jesus what he wants to do with the fear. And he stands up and he said, just give it to me. I was like, I don't know how. So he just reaches behind my back and he takes it and he pulls it out. And he's holding it in his hand and it's like this red circle looking thing. And the reason I was having difficulty getting rid of fear is because I couldn't survive without it.
The measurable frequency of heaven and the good vibe of the Holy Spirit. What are your thoughts on that?
Energy is a real thing. People who are like, I don't buy into the energy thing. Well, you buy into the sun, and that's real. So energies, well, I ask you, Holy Spirit, to make my language match when I'm praying to the Spirit. He started to translate what I was praying in tongues, and those prayers are not the same. They're not even close. If you're disconnected, going to get in trouble. Not from like a parent getting you in trouble. Goodbye.